Hey everybody, and welcome to Raising Vibrations, and you're with Simon today. And we're going to be discussing Mars Direct, and in particular the Mars Direct that's taking place for us on the 29th of June 2016. And whew, what an incredible ride this retrograde has been for us. In all fairness, I probably can't speak for many of you out there in terms of what your experience has been like, but I can have some idea of what the energy could have been creating for you. Obviously, this depends on if you actually have Mars retrograde in your chart or Mars direct, and where it's placed, etc. But, you know, overall, the thumbnail for this video in itself probably gave away what my impressions of this energy cycle's been about. So before I go ahead and kind of discuss a little bit about that stuff, I feel that it's really important for me to share about the nature of Mars as an archetype, just so that I can add a little bit of teaching to you that are watching this video. And when we deal with Mars as an archetype in itself, okay, from an evolutionary astrology perspective, Mars represents the natural way in which we discover ourselves in each moment, okay? So that's why we have the rising sign in astrology, and the rising sign represents the first house, and the first house, Mars and Aries, are all the same archetype, okay? And so the ascendant in itself is allowing you to discover your own personal journey as you instinctually act. So Mars is this energy format that is very conscious. It's part of a personal planet. And it helps us understand ourselves in terms of what is the overall meaning of our journey on Earth. And the way that we actually make this connection is through the fact that Pluto and Mars are deeply connected, okay? And in old astrology, Mars was referenced as the ruler of Scorpio, and Scorpio was also, or Mars was referenced as the ruler of Scorpio and Aries, okay? And the reason why is because of this deep connection between Pluto and Mars. And Mars, of course, is the personal planet, like I said, and so Pluto naturally represents this deeper undercurrent that exists within us, okay? So there's a transpersonal planet that is Pluto, and then there is the personal planet that is Mars, and how they operate is that we have these unconscious desires that need to be surfaced, and then they get surfaced and we act it through Mars, okay? So even this video as an example is my desire to share the information, and then me sharing it with you is the Mars archetype, okay? So Mars represents that overall arc that is deepening our sense of awareness regarding our spiritual journey, okay? Like, how do we self-act, and how does that develop our awareness? So there's this amazing picture that I actually found on a Facebook feed, which I found really, really interesting because it was just as I was preparing for this video. And it's from the Matrix film #2. And in particular, the Oracle's conversation with Neo. Now, for any of you that don't know what I'm talking about, the Matrix 2 in itself, and the Matrix trilogy, is a great film, or films to watch in terms of the nature of reality. There's a lot of stuff in there. And Neo is busy trying to figure out what's going on, and she's on a park bench. This is in #2. And she turns to him and says to him, Neo, you have already made the decision to do this, okay? So if we kind of like detach from that experience or depersonalize it and then reference it to our own lives, each and every single one of us has made a decision to incarnate into physical form, okay? There we are. You're watching this video, I'm watching this video, we're here, we're incarnated. Now, the next step is to figure out why. And that's the thing. That's the place that we've got to be. Why did we come here? What was the purpose? What was everything that brought us to this experience? And the relationship between Pluto and Mars gets that answer for us. So even in your birth chart, for instance, it's incredibly important to actually get in touch with the symbiotic relationship between Pluto and Mars in your chart, okay? And how that archetypal structure will really, really develop your sense of why you're here. amongst other things, of course, but primarily that's what it's going to be. So for me, the Mars direct that's happening in Scorpio and then moving into Sagittarius and conjuncting with Saturn at some point as well, and then of course squaring Neptune, has got a massive amounts of significance to it, especially in the context of the overall structure that we as human beings are evolving through currently at this point in time, which is the Pluto in Capricorn signature. Okay. Now, on its most deepest level, every single one of us that is sitting here today, that is experiencing reality as it is, has chosen in some way, shape, or form to evolve the emotional nature of your soul and self. Okay. Which means that through this huge metamorphosis that we are going through as a collective and individuals, the purpose of your incarnation on its most deepest level has got to do with a self-identity shift. Okay. And there are many, many versions of why this is happening. And, sometimes they range from the most far out stuff I could ever imagine to stuff that doesn't even recognize the nature of what's actually going on. And I reference this to, it's too far to go down that route, to be honest. My mind is not wanting to really go down that route, but my intuitions keep on pulling me there. But it's a video for 1,000 minutes, basically. Anyway, so each of us have come through that Pluto and Capricorn transition. We've chosen to do that. So if we come back to a more sort of personal representation of that, each of us has Mars somewhere in our chart. Okay, each of us has Mars transiting through Scorpio and transiting through Sagittarius, which means that we have a responsibility to ourselves to really get in touch with the placement of Mars and where it's transiting in your house and what it is actually transforming for you on a very, very deep level in relationship to Pluto. Okay. So that's that. This is the context of this discussion. This is the place that you want to be seeing yourself at, is how am I evolving at this point in time? And in particular, how am I aiding my soul's evolution through one of the most dramatic evolutionary shifts that we could actually experience? And a video for one that will be happening later on in this week is the Pluto over its own south nodes. And I won't get into it because it's a very big discussion, but the fact that that's even taking place in itself while we are all alive at this point in time is very, very significant in relationship to Mars going direct. And the Mars direct energy is initiating this burst of direction that is happening on such a deep level within our psyches that the nature of how we're going to respond to ourselves going forward has and is going to be changing in a very dramatic way. And what's fascinating about this is that this will only start to really become clear, in my opinion, around about September. And of course, the reason why that's the case is because most of us then will have incarnated the necessary changes that we feel at this point in time. And of course, today is the 27th and we're moving into the 28th, and most of us. So the fact that Mars is about to go direct is also implying that right now there is massive amounts of insights present with us. And the insights that are present with us relative to this retrograde cycle is developing our emotional response to reality in a new way, which is what I'm saying to you, that this transformation is taking place right now. We're getting in touch with all these insights, these new directions. And now, as we start to embody them, as it starts to go direct, you'll notice that by September onwards, this new evolutionary cycle will be very clear for all of us at this point. So it's fascinating to understand that shift that is taking in a collective, but also individually. And of course, to get in touch with that individual experience is to really be honest with yourself, especially when it comes to Mars moving through Scorpio. There's this undercurrent stuff that's coming to the surface like this. And again, Scorpio is all about pushing things that are, existing beneath the surface to the surface to be emotionally and psychologically processed, which is why you're here. Anything that is not being emotionally and psychologically processed is a spiritual bypass, in my opinion. because you're developing an ego that is necessary to help you understand the more higher meanings behind your incarnation. So the fact that Mars is moving direct and moving through Scorpio in an archetype that is allowing you to deeply understand why you're here, this opportunity to really get in touch with that process should not be missed. And, you know, for me personally, I'm going to be holding a live stream for everybody on Friday, okay? And I'm not entirely sure exactly what time at this point, but please know that on Friday I will be hosting a live stream for everybody, and the topic is going to be letting go and showing how the process of letting go actually gets done through the limbic system as well as the prefrontal cortex, how to actually develop an ego structure that supports the letting go process so that you're more in touch with it versus just this idea of letting go. And maybe everybody gets it and I'm the idiot that's sitting on the other side that doesn't know, and that's why it's important to me. But either way, the process will be done there, and it's in touch with this Mars direct experience, and I'll be sharing my own personal story as well, just to encourage you to feel more open and vulnerable with your own story so that you develop the authentic empathy and sense of compassion, not the one that's a spiritual bypass in that way. And I'll be elaborating a lot more on what I meant by the statement of emotional and psychological process of your reality. So don't forget to miss that. Brilliant. Don't forget to not miss that on Friday. I don't exactly know what the date is. I'll have a check for everybody if you just give me a second. It is it's the 1st of July. So the 1st of July will be that live stream. And then I probably will have one on Wednesday as well. I don't know about that 110%. And there's a possibility that I will also be joined by my partner, Jen, who actually runs Raising Vibrations alongside me, but nobody knows about her existence because she's not on camera. But she will probably be coming on camera on Wednesday for some discussions around whatever it is that we feel important to do. So don't forget to not miss that happening on Wednesday. I have digressed a little bit. The purpose, I didn't do it on purpose. It was more along the lines of like letting you know that what I'm about to share in terms of the Mars Direct and my own personal story, we're manifesting through those live streams. So coming back to the initiation of the Mars Direct, don't be surprised if you find yourself in a little bit of conflict over the next month as Mars is moving through Scorpio and then eventually reaches Sagittarius, which, if I'm not mistaken, is on the 2nd of August. So when it moves through Sag, there will be a new sense of belief systems and philosophies that will start to be initiated. And obviously this will all be part of the process that has taken place over the month of July. So I suspect the month of July is going to be a very interesting dynamic, especially because of the fact that Jupiter is also going to be moving through Virgo, but the last degrees of Virgo. So that's going to be mastery. And we're also looking at the natural cycle again of Mars moving closer to Neptune, which will then initiate that dissolving process. Okay, whenever Mars hits Neptune, it can be very, very difficult to action anything in a sense. So there seems to be, from my understanding, a very strong energetic movement in a new direction, but there also feels like a sense of new direction manifesting, but then a sense of getting in touch more with spirituality and the nature of your reality and your intentions and your motivations and your dreamlike state than it is with this more masculine energy. So that's how I feel about it at this point in time. What else do I have to say about Mars Direct apart from that? I mean, the particular generation that I think are being affected by this Mars retrograde, especially in Scorpio, and Mars has been there for quite some time, to be honest, through Scorpio, is anybody that actually has Uranus in Scorpio. So that has been initiating a big shift in terms of the fact that not only is transiting Uranus, so transiting Uranus is in Aries, and that's been ruled by Mars. So transiting Uranus is in Aries. Transiting Uranus is also quincunxing, so 150-degree blind spot angle to your natal Uranus, and this has actually been taking place for quite some time. So you've actually been dealing with a lot of unresolved fears and emotional experiences of abandonment, loss, and betrayal. And Mars's transit over that Uranus in your natal chart in Scorpio has obviously been healing that process and triggering it off in a very deep way. So I wouldn't be surprised if you have been dealing with a lot of fear coming up in irrational ways. Just objectify your reality and obviously let you know that it's just past memories that need to be flushed out. Mars's movement into Sag will obviously then start to initiate, like I said, the relationship to Neptune, which is in Pisces. But of course, it will also hit everybody's Uranus in Sagittarius, at least up until it's the whole entire place of Sag, but we're looking up until September, where I'm thinking about at this point in time. For those souls themselves, which is myself included, a lot of the liberation from natural law and trauma from natural law is actually going to be coming up for you, which I'll elaborate a little bit more on in a different video, because I do want to focus a lot more on the nature of Mars in itself, bringing up emotional debris, letting us understand the deeper, more core intentions and imprinting that we have experienced from our youth, and for most of us, awakening our new direction for ourselves. So expect some massive transformation to take place for us in July in terms of awakenings, and then watching that actually manifest itself in September in its fullest spectrum. Okay. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening to this video. Before you go, I just want to make 2 announcements quickly. Of course, if you haven't actually subscribed to this channel, make sure that you do that. And secondly, my partner Jen is also doing astrological readings for any of you that are interested in wanting to have a reading with her. She's really, really skilled at doing evolutionary astrology readings in itself. And she's also offering this at a sliding scale. So in the description below is an Acuity meeting, and what you do is you just click on that and it will tell you when you're like to actually book your reading with her, and it's for free, of course. But of course she'll be, just like, provide a energetic exchange that you are comfortable with. If you're able to offer $100, that's fantastic. If you can only offer 35, that's fine as well. Whatever it is that you're comfortable with. But she's offering that at this point in time. For me personally, I'm busy working on a project at this stage. So I feel like this is a great opportunity to actually have a reading with somebody that's really, really good, and also be able to get in touch with your Mars material, because she's one of those types of souls that's got Uranus and Scorpio. So she knows how to hit that Mars energy very, very strongly. Okay. Awesome, guys. Fantastic. So I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I will see you on Wednesday and Friday. Don't forget Friday as well. And I hope that you've enjoyed your sun sign forecasts. And until then, take care. Bye-bye.